All right, man. I just want to welcome you guys to the channel. I know it's been a while since I've basically recorded or put any content out, but today I just wanted to put some content out just about fishing one of my favorite baits, and that bait is the lipless crankbait. I'll go into a segment today, man, just about the breakdown of them, how to fish them, where to fish them at, the time of year to fish them, the brands, and the types of lipless crankbaits, man. So it'll definitely be a very informative and intriguing video, but it will make you a better angler. And lipless crankbait, first bait I ever caught a bass off of that was artificial. I fish it to this day. I'll throw it. I'll continue to throw it. It's a bait that a lot of pro anglers throw too. You just don't hear a lot of publicity about it because it's such a simple way to catch fish. So I think guys kind of keep it hush hush. But nonetheless, you guys stay tuned. I'm gonna give you a breakdown of each one of these baits, and hopefully, man, this is very informative in it. Like I said, it makes you a better angler. All right, so I want to just give a brief synopsis, man, a breakdown of the baits that I like to fish. And you have I have four different brands here. Of course, there are thousands of brands of lipless crankbaits that you can fish, but I'll just give a brief breakdown of some of the most popular, some ones that aren't really popular, and some that are becoming popular within the fishing community. The first one is the Bill Lewis rattle trap. This rattle trap here, man, is like, it's the triple OG of all rattle traps. One of the reasons I like it, man, is because it has a real distinct rattle to it. It offers a lot less resistance in the water than a lot of the other rattle traps too, and it kind of runs almost on its side. Most of them run down at an angle like that. So Bill Lewis, OG, triple OG, that's what I call it. You can't go wrong with a Bill Lewis, man. Another one of the brands I like to fish is the Strike King as well. Has a pretty good rattle to it. Something about this rattle trap too is it runs down like most. My only knock on this particular rattle trap are the hooks. Great rattle trap, great lipless crank, but I will also tell people to exchange out the hooks, man, if you're ever going to fish this. Bouillon. The Bouillon one is that I've fished for a while, but I picked it up here recently, man, and I've had a ton of luck. I love this rattle trap. This one is a bit different. This is called the One Knocker, so it's a little more subtle as well, but it's the Bouillon, that's the brand. And I'll talk about that One Knocker as well. And here we have the Yozuri rattle trap. Yozuri is a newer brand that I just started fishing as well, but I really like it. It's a heavier rattle trap. Most of the ones I have labeled here are a ½ ounce. This is 5/8 of an ounce. But these are the four that I really like to fish, man. And they offer some good things about them. I've caught big fish off of them. I've caught a lot of fish off of all of them. So just keep these in mind, man, these four brands. So again, you know, they will catch you fish no matter the brand, but some brands I just prefer over others. It's just my preference. Doesn't make, you know, what you choose right or wrong. Just some things to keep in mind. So the next thing I want to talk about when fishing these lipless crankbaits are color. No matter where you are in the country, you're going to run into one of three things when fishing a lipless crank. Three colors are basically all you need, right? I tell people the first and foremost is a bluegill. I can't really think of anywhere in the country where you fish at where there aren't bluegill. So I always tell people have at least a bluegill pattern. It doesn't matter the color. This is probably one of my favorite ones, man. It looks so realistic. It looks almost like an actual bluegill. So that's for one. The next I tell people to have is a craw-colored lipless crankbait as well. They work wonders. Work really well. I've caught a ton of fish off both the bluegill and the craw pattern. And I also tell people always have something that imitates a shad color bait fish as well. They do really well. So all you need is those three colors, man. I know there are other colors out on the market, and that's fine. I've caught them with an array of colors. But if you're gonna have three, keep those in your tackle box at all times, man. They will catch you a ton of fish. It's all about the foraging at that time, what the fish are feeding on, what bass are feeding on, all right? So the next thing I really like to discuss, man, about these rattle traps is the type of rattle traps, right? Sometimes when you're fishing rattle traps, like I said, you can be overwhelmed, but either you have you have different types, man. A lot of people don't know this, but you have your standard rattles, right? You got the standard rattle. And this is the Bill Lewis one, man. It has a pretty distinct rattle. I like it because the beads aren't plastic, so it gives a distinct one. Same thing with the Yozuri, man. Has a very distinct rattle. It's loud. You want to be able to get those fish's attention with vibration. But some days the fish are finicky. They don't want that loud vibration. You need something a little more subtle. And when you do, I always recommend fishing a booyah one knocker. One knocker. As you can see, it's a distinct difference between that and this. So it's a little more subtle. It doesn't give off as much vibration, as much noise, so it can help you catch those finicky bass on those days. And I also have what's known here as a two-tap. A two-tap is, I would describe it as kind of being in between a rattle trap and a one knocker. It's almost like a one knocker, but it has two of the beads in there. So you can hear that. So it's kind of in between the rattle trap and the actual one knocker. So it offers a little more noise. So all of those things, man, they can play a part in you catching bass. So those are definitely the types that you have, and those are things that you want to consider if the fish are finicky, if they're not, if they're aggressive, so forth, so on, because they do play a huge part in the bite sometimes. Right, so the next thing I like to discuss too, man, when fishing rattle traps are modifications. There are several different modifications that you can make that make a huge difference in you catching fish. One of the modifications I recently made, as a result of just kind of doing some research to bite with slow, I wasn't catching a lot of fish, was I always fish everything on 17-pound tests. Like, that's kind of my go-to. I'm comfortable there. But I had to drop down to 12-pound test. And when I did, I saw my bite kind of pick up and increase. I also caught bigger fish. I was able to cast farther. So there are some benefits of fishing 12-pound test. Now, you have to be careful when fishing it to check and make sure there are no split ends or your line isn't getting frayed. But you can cast it farther. Gives off I guess it just, the bait works better on lighter line. And I guess, it's just a different bite, man. You attract more bites for whatever reason. I can't really explain it. I just kind of tried it, and it was kind of like hitting the jackpot. Another modification that I like to talk about too is with these lipless crankbaits, man, you have a back hook on them, right? And one thing that I recently found out here was that you can fish these bad boys by wood, because what essentially happens is most crankbaits, they run down at an angle. They run down like that. So when they're running down, whatever they're hitting, before they even get to a hook, they're going to bounce off of them and deflect it. A lot of times you get caught up with a lipless crank, it's the back hook that does you dirty. So if you take that back hook off, you can fish this thing by wood and heavy cover because of how it runs and it running down at an angle. And that will definitely help you catch a lot more fish as well. The last modification that I would like to talk about too is I just spoke of removing this back hook, but you can definitely remove this back hook and you can replace it with some other things. I'll give you an example here. So you can take a small blade from like take one of these smaller blades from like a spinnerbait or some of the other things here, man, and you can actually take this small blade right here and put it on the back of your rattle trap, man. And it still gives it some flash. It gives it something different, man. And it allows you to kind of keep the flash of it, but run it through some of those areas that you'd be scared to fish it at. So those are just some simple modifications that sometimes we overlook, haven't thought of, but they will help you catch more fish. It will allow the bait to be more versatile and fished in different areas where you couldn't before. So the last thing I want to talk about when fishing a lipless crankbait are the seasons in which you can fish them. I spoke earlier about the versatility, and you can fish it year-round. Summer, spring, fall, winter. Now I will say that I think the bait really shines the spring, the fall, and early winter when fish are schooled up. Like first half of the winter, it really shines. Now you can catch them, you know, all throughout the year, but those are the times that they shine. They shine during the summer too. So like I said, it's a bait that you can fish and you can catch a ton of fish all the time. But as far as catching bigger fish, schooled up fish, I would say spring, fall, early winter. And you know, when you fish it, man, you know, you're fishing it during the seasons, but I always tell people you never just fish a rattle trap. You want to work on your retrieve. You have the yo-yo retrieve, you have the retrieve where you reel and you stop, and then you kind of have the pop technique. So those are 3 techniques that you want to use. And I think, you know, the next time I'm out on the water and I have the ability to fish, and I'll definitely show you guys what I mean as far as those retrievals, those techniques. And they're just good, man. They're good techniques to use. It's a great bait to use. It's very versatile. And if you don't have one in your tackle box, or you don't have a few in your tackle box, man, you're missing out on a ton of fish, a great bite, and the ability to catch not only great numbers, but big fish as well. So I hope this was informative for you guys. I hope you guys stay tuned. Click below, subscribe, like the channel, like the video, and you know, tell a friend to tell a friend, man.